Hi guys. So I'm currently outside filming, as you can see, and the sun is setting behind the camera, so the lighting is going to change. And it may not be very good for the video quality, but you're here for the words, and the words will hopefully change your life if you're experiencing fatigue and if you're struggling with it. So please ignore the lighting. When I get inspired to film, I have to just film in that moment, and that was right now. Now, I'm really excited to film this today because I have studied this intensely, not just in the books and in the videos, but I've studied it in myself. I observed the real reasons why I was experiencing such intense fatigue, no matter what I was eating, no matter how I was working out, no matter what I was doing, no matter if I was doing what the doctor said or not. I was experiencing extreme fatigue, constantly tired. So I'm giving you every reason that I found out about myself, about why my fatigue was happening. None of the reasons I'm going to talk about today are physical. None. And what I mean by that is none of them are coming from the physical body, but from our mind, from our inner state. Okay? The last reason is the biggest reason. So watch all of them, see what resonates with you. Your body will let you know, even if it's subtle, even if it's a whisper, your body will let you know if the reason I say in the video is the reason for your fatigue. The body always knows the reason. Even if you don't logically know it, the body always knows the reason why you are having any physical symptom in the world. Any sickness you are experiencing, the body knows why. Okay, so we can go to hundreds of doctors to find out, but even before you go to those doctors, your body already knows. Okay, so this is why I want you to really try and listen to your body and what it says if you can. It's not going to, show up in words or strange feelings, but the intuition feels like a subtle nudge. It feels like very subtle whispers in the body, okay? So just try your best. Okay, so let me give you a quick little backstory. Well, I don't know if this will be quick. I'll try to make it quick. I went on a missions trip to Uganda, and this trip was filled with people of all different ages. Every morning, before we would go out, I would become tired. I was sleepy. I was waiting for the bus with everybody else, and I'd be lying on the couch, half asleep, if not sleeping, waiting for the bus every single day. And this was normal to me. I didn't know it was not normal until people, almost everybody on that trip, was saying to me, "Why are you so tired? Why are you so sleepy?" I'm a little bit concerned. And as the trip continued, their concern grew a lot. And for me, in the beginning, I was not concerned whatsoever. This was my norm. Okay? Constant fatigue was my norm. I almost thought it was everybody else's norm too. And I constantly would hear the words, "Why are you so tired? You're so young." Okay, I think I was 20 years old at this point. "Why are you so tired? You're so young," from people who were double, triple my age. And this concerned me because I was wondering, why are they not that tired? Why are they not this fatigued? And so that was the moment for me where I realized, oh, there's a problem here. So I went to the doctor. I went to, I think, a few doctors, and it's honestly very blurry at that time in my life, but I think I went to regular doctors, homeopathic and holistic, yeah, all sorts of doctors, and I started doing what they were saying, and they found out things about me, physical reasons that could have created the fatigue. We worked on those physical reasons. I did so many blood tests, I changed my diet, I changed so many things about my lifestyle, but nothing internally was changing. My fatigue was staying the exact same, okay? I was driving to the gym one day and I intuitively knew, it clicked in me. This is not because of a physical reason, because of a disease, because of an illness, because of something that's going wrong with my physical body. This is something else. The reason I was experiencing the fatigue I was experiencing was I was masking a lot of things in my life. And what I'm going to tell you now is all of the things that you could be masking that create 1,000,000%, I can say, hand on my heart, will create fatigue. You do them for a long period of time, if it has become your norm, your physical body will create fatigue. Now, whenever we have symptoms of anything, symptoms are always indicators of a problem, okay? They're body's way of telling you, hey, do something because something is going on underneath. So fatigue is always a signal sent by your body to tell you something wrong is going on. Fatigue should never be your norm, okay? So, yeah, let's talk about it. The first one I've spoken about a few times on my channel, which is authenticity. when we mask our true self, okay, when we mask our true self and we put up an act every time we are around people, it is physical. The body physically has to work harder to act to be somebody that you are not. If you do this consistently, you will notice, and a way to know this is if you get fatigue after social interactions, you will realize that your fatigue is coming from a lack of authenticity, which is 100% possible. Acting is very tiring on the body. This may seem like a huge deal, something that is impossible to remove if you have been acting almost your entire life. And I have videos to help you with this, but it doesn't need to be a big deal, okay? Because what I love to say about authenticity is that authenticity, when you're acting, it's like you're holding something. And whenever we hold something that's heavy, it is always more difficult to hold it than to let it go. The way that we let it go is we give ourselves the permission to let it go. We allow ourselves to let it go. We realize the bad things we subconsciously think will happen if we let it go won't happen, or if they do happen, it won't kill us. Okay, so I have videos on authenticity. I will put my most recommended one on the screen here. If you think that you masking your true self could be the cause of your fatigue, which is again 100% possible, I would realize after every social interaction that I needed a nap. This was later on in my fatigue journey where other things were sorted and I was feeling better. I was wondering, why am I still feeling fatigued when I'm hanging out with certain people? And I realized that when I hang out with certain people, I had perceived that those people needed me to put on the mask versus other people did not. So what I realized is that I was putting on a mask, and when I let go of that mask and I started being more of myself, my true authentic self, not dressing in the way I think is authentically, but being authentic, I wasn't tired after social interactions, and you shouldn't be tired after social interactions. Yes, you could be introverted, but you shouldn't need a fat nap and feel like you need the largest coffee after social interactions. Even if you are introverted, you should be getting filled up, unless that person is highly negative. You should be getting filled up for the most part with people if you're being your true self. The next one is indecision fatigue. The fatigue I would experience after having to make a decision, no matter how big or small it is, usually more after the small decisions, I could feel such fatigue that I would feel like I would need to have to be, or I would have to be in bed the rest of the day. And making decisions and experiencing indecision fatigue is very real, especially when we maybe have something in our everyday schedule that requires us to make a lot of decisions every single day. And some people are more prone to this based on their personality. Some people have certain experiences or traumas from the past that made them fear making the wrong decision, okay? So what I speak on when it comes to indecision, how I help people with this, is actually helping people again tap into their intuition, tap into the answer that their body already knows. Okay, your heart actually already knows the right decision to make before you logically know the right decision to make. So to become more decisive, we need to actually start listening more to the body rather than the head. Okay, so if we overanalyze consistently, it is very, very physically tiring on the body, and it will create fatigue, okay? And even over the tiniest decisions. So how do we know that this is a reason for fatigue? Well, of course, you ask yourself, am I feeling tired when I make decisions? We need to start listening more to the heart. We need to start realizing that our body will feel light when we think of answers that are for us, and our body will feel heavy when the answers are not for us. And also, what a lot of people do, which I love because I've actually been doing this recently, is making decisions easier for yourself by pre-planning or having less decisions to make. So what I mean by this is a lot of people do this with clothes. When you have less options, it is so much easier to make decisions. And not only when you have less options, it's easier to make decisions, but you actually are happier. And this has been psychologically proven that people are much happier when they have less decisions. So knowing this, question your consumptions, okay? Really question if you really need to buy all the new things, if you really need to consume as much as you do, because it could be affecting you mentally by having so many options, okay? It could be affecting you physically with the fatigue by having so many options. When I said I've been doing this recently, I actually live out of a backpack because I travel full time as I do my work online. And I decided about a month ago just to have one backpack instead of 3 bags, okay? One small backpack, because my life was so much easier when I chose to do that. And it was so much easier, yes, because of the back pain, but so much easier because I have so many less options for everything. For my makeup, for my clothes, for everything. I have so many less options, and the indecision fatigue for getting dressed and getting ready doesn't exist for me anymore because there are very few things to choose from. And I know it's hard to actually get rid of the things that we love, but you have to weigh out what's worth it to you and what's worse for you, having less things or experiencing the fatigue, if you really do struggle with indecision. Now, the next one is nervous system overload. So stress that affects our nervous system. And we know this, that stress can make us not feel great physically, but fatigue is one of the most common things that we feel when we experience stress. And something came to my mind, and I want to say it right now, even though it's kind of not aligned with what I was just saying. In a sense it is, but I feel like I need to say this now, that depression. Okay, so fatigue is a really common experience that we have when we experience depression. It's a really common symptom, that we experience when we have depression. And depression and stress, okay, stress and depression, we all know that fatigue, well, most of us know that fatigue can come from those two major things that most of us experience or have experienced at one point in our lives: stress or depression. Of course, we've all experienced stress, but depression, a lot of us have gone through depressive seasons in our life, okay? And we realize during those times we're so fatigued, okay? The body is really fatigued. And now, I don't want you to think that your stress or your depression is something that you are supposed to live with. Again, I'm making this point because it's really, really important. I really want you to get this in your head, that having a lot of stress or experiencing depression, okay, is not something you should live with, okay? It's not something, and you may be saying, well, I don't want to live with it. Of course, I want to change it, of course. But some people have this mentality that just because everyone experiences it, that it's the norm. And it's kind of okay to have. It's kind of okay to be stressed often. It's kind of okay to have depression, because most of us have depression or seasonal depression. Please get rid of that perspective from your mind, because your depression and your stress are signals that something wrong is happening. They're not something you're supposed to live with forever. They're supposed to be temporary signals that something wrong is going on in the body. Temporary signals, okay? Now, have self-compassion, okay? Now, if you're experiencing stress or you're experiencing depression, you must have self-compassion, because it's in no way your fault. You are not choosing to have stress or depression. It's no way your fault. But if you can just shift the mindset, if you have the mentality right now that it's the norm to be stressed all of the time, it is the norm to have depression, just begin by shifting that, and you are miles ahead than what you were a few minutes ago, okay? So, again, they are signals. Now, with stress, when we experience it, or depression, we experience fatigue. And the nervous system, when it's overloaded, it's really common to immediately experience fatigue when it's going through overload. Now, what do we do about this? We do what we resonate with that helps calm our nervous system in that moment when we are experiencing the fatigue. So instead of taking the nap, okay, because you are so tired, first try doing something. If you feel as though your fatigue is coming from stress, the nap needs to be secondary. What needs to first happen is something to calm the nervous system, because that's taking care of the real reason why you are experiencing the fatigue. The nap is only temporarily helping you until the next time your nervous system gets overloaded. But if we continuously work on our nervous system every time the nervous system sends a signal that something is wrong by us experiencing the fatigue, every time we get this signal, if we actually take care of the root, if we actually nourish the root, we care for the root, which is the nervous system, we treat it like a child, okay? When we do that, then over time, you will become less and less fatigued, okay? Because you will be able to handle more and more, because when our nervous system is overloaded, it is like a glass that is full of water. When we add just a droplet, the water can overflow. Okay, so as we take care of the nervous system by doing nervous system regulating activities that resonate with us, and I always love to point out when I help people, is that you have to work with things that resonate with you. So when we do these nervous system healing activities, the glass is no longer full the moment that you wake up in the morning. It's actually lowering. Sometimes it goes completely empty from one regulating tool. So again, try the nervous system healing activity first before you take the nap. And I know you're so exhausted and all you want to do is sleep, but this is going to help heal you from the fatigue altogether when we take care of the real reason. So nervous system healing tools, what can we do to calm the nervous system? Breath work is fantastic. EFT is fantastic. Meditation is fantastic. Those are the top 3 I always mention because they are so effective for everybody. But also I have a video on the nervous system and for people who get overwhelmed easily. And I speak on specific ways to help heal the nervous system based on your stress response, because we all have different stress responses. So I'm going to put that video on the screen, but I'm going to move on to the next point because the sun is going down. What is the biggest point? What is the thing that changed the game for me the most? Now, not only did this get rid of majority of my healing, what it did for me is it also got rid of my disassociation, my derealization, my depersonalization. Okay, if you want a video on that, I have a deep story about my experiences with those 3 things. They're all under the category of disassociation, but if you resonate with derealization and depersonalization, then you know the intensity of what it can be like when you experience that every day as a norm. Okay, it did a lot of things for me when I did this next point, and that was feeling the feelings that were screaming at me to be felt. Okay, I would mask my feelings for as long as I could remember. Masking your feelings will 1,000,000% make the body physically fatigued. And not only will it make it physically fatigued, but many other symptoms can show up too, from just masking the emotions that we were always meant to feel. But at some point in our life, we received a message, unconsciously most likely, that it is not good to feel our feelings. And I never thought that my fatigue could be healed from such a simple thing, such as feeling the emotions. But if you're feeling that way, you need to realize that humans are supposed to feel the emotions we have in the body. If we were not supposed to feel emotions or have emotions, we wouldn't be designed to have emotions. Okay, we wouldn't cry, we wouldn't feel anger if those emotions were not supposed to be felt. We were designed to have emotions for very beautiful reasons, and if we suppress those emotions, good or bad, consistently, it is so physically draining on the body that you can experience such chronic fatigue just from that one thing. The biggest thing I can say right now to help you with that is change your perspective. If you have a negative perspective on emotions and why you shouldn't feel them, change your perspective to I must feel them so I can feel better in life, or emotions are not bad to feel, they're actually good to feel. When you change your perspective, your body will start allowing you to feel more. Okay? So, if you're struggling with feeling emotion, this is my favorite thing to help people with, because I was at a point where I thought it was impossible for me to feel the emotions that I had because of how low I had gotten. And then I started feeling, and now I cry all of the time and I feel my emotions so easily. And I was at a point where I never thought that was possible for me, and I learned so much on that journey. And now I help people on their journeys with feeling their emotions and processing and trauma processing and all of those things. A lot through EFT tapping, but also a lot just through perspective shifts and helping people understand themselves and their emotions better. So if you need help with that, I offer one-on-one coaching. I hope this video helped you realize that your fatigue, if you resonated, if you clicked on this video because you felt something inside, it's very likely that your fatigue doesn't always come from sicknesses or the things that the world tells us that fatigue just comes from. It often comes from internal things first. Okay, so I hope this video resonated. I hope this video helped you, and please apply what I said and let me know if it helped you. Okay, thank you guys. See you guys next time.